You got the touch. You got the power.
Arise, Rodimus Prime.
Optimus.
Rodimus Bill here, and today we're going to do Solo, a Star Wars story movie review. First, I'm going to go through the characters, then a quick review of the plot, stuff I liked, stuff I didn't like, a little bit about knickknacks, and then overall feelings about the movie. Now, to start off with, here are my take on the characters. First, Han Solo. First, you have him on Corella, working with the Lady Proxima, and then he goes from there to the Empire Academy, where he wants to be a pilot. Then he goes to smuggling with Tobias, working with the Crimson Dawn, and then he meets Lando, and then he winds up going on his own with Chewie. Qi'ra. First, she's like the young lover of Han Solo and Corella. They work together, stealing, and they have a big plan to leave together. And what happened was, right when they're about to leave the spaceport, she gets captured and he sneaks through. And then he tells her he'll come back for her. And then as this happens, he sees a recruiting video for the Empire. And he goes up to recruiter and says, I want to join up. Well, then the guy says, what's your name, Han? What's your family name? He doesn't have any. He says he's a loner. So the recruiter gives him the last name of Solo. And from there on, he is Han Solo. And then Qi'ra, like I said, first she works with him. She gets captured and stays behind. And later on, he meets up with her again. Tobias Beckett, he's just a Woody Harrelson part. He is a smuggler, and he works for Crimson Dawn. Chewbacca, originally known as the Beast, where he is basically in a fight pit with the Empire's enemies, and that's how they get rid of the enemies. They throw them in the pit. Let's see. Tobias betrays him, throws him in the pit with the Empire, and him and Chewie, he speaks Wookiee, so him and Chewie have a plan to escape together, and then they escape. More on that later. Lando is a card player. He's the one who supplied the Falcon for the Kessel Run for 25% of the profit. He cheated on cards, but later lost to Han later on fair and square about the Falcon. Dryden Voss, he is the main villain of the movie. He is the Crimson Dawn leader, and I don't know if he owns Qi'ra, but he controls her. She becomes his top lieutenant. L337 is a female droid, the first droid that's female that you meet in Star Wars, and she is Lando's droid. And then you have Val and Rio Durant. They're original members of Beckett's crew, and they both died in the train heist. Now, here's the main plot. Han and Qi'ra get separated. He joins the Empire, so one day he become a pilot so he can come back and get her. That's where he gets his last name. And then it fast forwards to 3 years later. Han is on a battlefield with the Empire, and that's where he meets Beckett, who is wearing a dead guard's uniform, and he's pretending to be a captain, but he's in it for a theft, a heist of some type. So, and then Han tries to tell him, hey, I know you're not really Empire. You need to do you need to bring me with you, or else I'll tell. And then Beckett narcs on him to the troops, and that's why they throw him in the pit with Chewbacca. Him and Chewbacca get together. He speaks Wookiee when Chewie's about to kill him. They devise a plan to escape. Han says, I know these friends, they'll help us off. So they escape. They run to the spaceport as Beckett's about to leave. And Beckett and Rio and all of them see him, and he's like, that kid's got spunk. Let's save him. So then Han Solo and Chewie go with Beckett. Alright, so then he joins Beckett on a train heist because they want to get 100,000 things of coaxium, which is a rare metal that powers the ships. So during that time, they get the plan goes wrong. They meet the Marauders, who also want the coaxium. Vox winds up killing herself on a bridge. Rio, the guy with 6 legs, that is the pilot, he gets killed, and Han got to pilot him out of there. And then, as they're about to leave, Han destroys the coaxium to save their lives. But later finds out that that was a bad thing, because Beckett works for the Crimson Dawn and a guy named Dryden Voss. So, Beckett takes him to meet Dryden Voss so he can explain the situation. And there Han meets Kira, who is now a top lieutenant of Dryden. It's like, he bought her and saved her from Corella, and now she works for him, but she's a slave, basically. But she's indentured to him. So, then Han comes up with an idea. Well, to make up for that processed coaxium that we blew up, let's go get some raw coaxium from the Kessel mines, and then we can refine it, and then you can make it all up. Then we're an even deal. So Dryden agrees and says, you need to take Kira with you. Okay. So, to do this, they have to get a fast ship, and that is when they meet Lando and L3. Now Han plays them in a game of cards, and Lando cheats and beats Han, but they still agree to help him with the deal for like 25% of the profit. Then they go to Kessel Run. They have a big plan where Tobias is dressed up almost like Lando's Return the Jedi bounty hunter costume with the thing around the mat, the face. And Han and Chewie are pretending to be prisoners, and Kira is in charge. He's this big inspector. And then L3 goes with them, and then Han and Chewie break out. They start to find the raw ore, and L3 lets go all the droids. So all the droids are free, and that creates a droid rebellion. So, while they're there, as Han and Chewie are loading the ore, Chewie finds other Wookiees being captured. So Chewie separates from Han, rescues the Wookiees, and later on meets up with Han, and they get the raw ore, load on the Falcon. In the meantime, L3 gets shot, she dies, Lando runs out there to save her, brings her head and upper body in, he gets shot, and then Han and Chewie have to go rescue him. They all get in the Falcon and they leave. Now the raw ore coaxium is unstable for a certain amount of time. So this is the famous Kessel Run. Parsecs is amount of distance, not time. So the whole Kessel Run, Han has to make it shorter to get the raw ore to the refinery. So there's a shortcut through space that cuts the distance down, and only L3 knows. So L3 dies, but they hook her brains up to the Millennium Falcon, and the Millennium Falcon knows all her star charts, because that's what she was famous for. So, let's see. Yes, they have to do the normal Kessel Run in 12 parsecs and the 20. So they get to the refinery, and they meet the Marauders. But the Marauders are actually good. They're the beginnings of the rebellion, and they say you can't give this ore to Dryden. So, and as they're doing this, they meet, get to refinery, Marauders meet them there, and then Tobias says he's leaving. So Tobias leaves, and Han and Kira try to trick Dryden when he arrives, but Tobias betrays him, and then luckily Han and Chewie betray Tobias. There's this big fight. Kira originally looks like she betrays Han, but she winds up killing Dryden. And then at that point, right before this, Beckett leaves with Chewie with the coaxium by gunpoint. And so Kira kills Dryden, tells Han to go after Chewie. She's going to grab some raw crystals there and be right behind him. But what happens is she calls Darth Maul, and Darth Maul tells her to go to him wherever he was. And while this is happening, Tobias and Han meet on the beach at the refinery. And it doesn't, originally you don't know who shoots, but then Han winds up shooting Tobias and he dies. And then Kira takes off with the main ship. So Han knows that Kira betrayed him. And that is, and then at the end, Han goes to meet Lando again. And this time, you know, Lando thinks he's going to hit him, but then he winds up hugging him, prevents him from stealing. They play a card game. Han wins, fair and square. Han gets the Falcon. That's basically the movie in a nutshell. The things I liked Han's early relationship with Kira. I loved how he met Chewie with the pit. Chewie tries to kill him. They talk Wookiee and work together to escape. The whole train sequence, which you see in a lot of the commercials, is pretty neat. I like how Han got his name. I love the Kessel run through that like wormhole of space where there's like Star Destroyers there and there's different pockets of space. You see how Han launches the escape pod, which is in the original Falcon is the piece here that connects it. So this is why this area is gone, because the escape pod he launches in a gravity well when this big giant space creature's chasing him. And that's why this Falcon is now the normal shaped Falcon. And they never get another escape pod, which I don't understand why. Other scenes, how we got his name. I did like Alden Ehrenreich as Solo. I think he was a pretty good actor. Chewie had never had this many action scenes before. I love Chewbacca's action scenes. I like Beckett. And there was no Jedi, but Darth Maul was in a hologram. And he did light his lightsaber. And he did have the metallic legs that he got from Rebels. Because this was after he died in The Phantom Menace when he got chopped in half. So this is probably 10 to 20 years after Phantom Menace, maybe longer. Now, the things I didn't like. I did not like Han's reunion with Kira. He's been doing everything for 3 years up to that point to rescue her. And he runs into her in Dryden's ship, and it's like, oh, hey, nice to see you again. I thought that lacked emotion. It just didn't have the weight that I wanted it to be. The planet where they meet Beckett, pretending to be an Imperial, it almost looked like a war movie. It didn't look like an Empire troops, stormtroopers. I mean, you had some of the masks there, but they weren't real. And this was not about the plot, but they used dark cameras. The whole cockpit scenes in Millennium Falcon, it was so dark. It was almost like, kind of like what I had a problem with BVS. Just the dark cameras. I needed light. I wanted to see the Falcon in all its glory. And yet they used those stupid dark filter cameras, and it just took me out of the movie. And at times this felt like a Star Wars movie, and other times it did not feel like a Star Wars movie to me. The Falcon, I loved when it looked new, but later on it got damaged. I mean, going through the space, it got blown up, it got shot up, they lost the deflector dish, they lost the cannon. I mean, it really got shot up pretty bad. And there was a C-3PO cameo. Anthony Daniels, the actor that played C-3PO. So this is a spoiler review, I should say at the beginning. But he was the human friend of the Wookiee that Chewie wound up hugging on the Kessel Mines. So that was Anthony Daniels, so now he's been in all Star Wars movies. Alright, basically that's my review. Overall, I give it an 8 out of 10. The action scenes were really good, but sometimes too long. Especially in the beginning, it took a while to feel like a Star Wars story with Han, growing up poor and the Corella. Even though the Falcon was in space a lot, there wasn't that many scenes of the Falcon itself flying in space. I really wish they had more of the Falcon, and I really enjoyed the Han and Chewie relationship. So overall, it's an 8 out of 10. Like I said, I had problems with the camera. Some of the sequences in the movie were a little slow or too long. But considering that, in case you don't know the controversy, Lord and Miller shot 90% of the movie. Disney screened it, didn't like it. It was too comedic. They fired the directors. They brought in Ron Howard. He wound up shooting about 80% of the movie. So, again, like Justice League, this is a movie of two directors. It was put together. They should have delayed it. And that's another thing why. Star Wars needs to be once a year phenomenon. Star Wars is a treat. Last Jedi just came out in December. It was very divisive. 5 months later, you have this movie out. They need to space Star Wars out 1 year apart. Star Wars needs to be an event film. They can't do the Marvel route. They need Star Wars to be special once a year. When I was a kid growing up, we had to wait 3 years for each movie, and that was a treat. So basically, that's my Han Solo A Star Wars Story review. I hope you liked this review. Please comment. Tell me how you liked it. Tell me what you didn't like. Check out my other playlists. We do DC toys. We do Marvel toys. We do movie reviews like this one. We do mostly Transformer reviews. Like I said, just comment below, share, subscribe to my channel, and tell me what you think of this. Alright, Rodimus Bill, signing out. May the Force be with you.